Let's see how to turn chokes into headlocks and keep headlocks from becoming chokes before we escape. We'll start with getting snagged while we're still on our feet. When we're dragged back and unbalanced like this, we need to turn toward their weakest side, which is their back, and drop to our knees. We can keep their arm connected to us with our hands, get our head as far down to the floor as we can, and then of course take that side control, so we're back to mission 1, getting their chest facing up. If we're standing straight up, we need to turn toward the shoulder of the choking arm. Spreading our feet and bending our knees will make us a little heavier. Then we can push our hips forward just to create enough room to slam our elbow between our bodies and get into this hugging, clinching position. Once we get that arm around their back, we are now in a headlock, not a choke, even if they keep their arms locked. If we get caught belly down, we can't slam our arm between us, obviously, but we still have to turn toward the choking arm's shoulder. It won't be a swift movement like the one on our feet, but we want to keep turning even if it's inch by inch. Once we're halfway around, just like the one on our feet, we're in a headlock instead of a choke. We may end up on top of them like that last example, or we could even make it all the way to that cross-side pinning position. We can't turn over without an arm crossing our face first, so if you find it caught, you're going to have to get it out of your own way first. By now you know not to offer your neck by getting up like this, but you could eventually get good enough at this where you can bait them, use it as an escape, and maybe even a submission, like this if you know leg entanglements. Let's see what we can do instead of offering our neck or making it easy to get hit. A good way to start is to let them try to get a choking arm around you as you glue your ear heavily to your bicep and keep your shoulder or in your armpit glued to the floor before you turn. Of course, we would never want to stay long in this position, but as you practice, ask them to really try to get their hand through or to lift you off the floor. You have one arm for choke protection and the other arm for strike protection. We can easily end up underneath them once we turn around, but you know what to do from the missions failed video. But if you're good at this movement, you could fling them right off of you. Follow these breakdowns so you can practice even when you're by yourself. I demonstrate all these as if I'm getting choked by a right arm, but it's a good habit to tell yourself which arm you're getting choked with first and turn that way. Of course, you want to be proficient at this, both directions. Let your partner decide which arm they're going to choke with your eyes open or closed. You'll be able to tell which arm is grabbing you. If we get caught with our belly up instead of down, we can use what are called our human Venus flytraps and catch anything that gets in the way. More than likely we'll fall backward, but that's good. We want our shoulder blades on the floor. There's also the Home Alone, where you can keep them from wrapping around your neck and use your arms as a crowbar. If we're too late and they do get an arm around, we still need to turn toward their choking arm. We do this by putting a lot of pressure on their face with the back of our head and getting to the other side of their head than where we were. Again, once we're sideways to them, we're now in a headlock and not a choke. It's counterintuitive, but we need to use our head to smash into their face and grind on them rather than duck our chin and try to keep their arm from choking us. So turning toward them will save us, not our arms. So no chin tucking or pulling with your arms. Take the back of your head and turn their face by crushing into it, turning toward that choking arm until your head is on the floor, and then we can continue to turn. Already in the headlock once you're here. In really desperate times, a fake tap out or yelling that you give up, but still while you keep the pressure on, could help with getting them to release. But it's a fake tap or a fake giving up. Continue as usual. Going after their eyes or trying to unwrap their feet is useless, and the clock is ticking. They may be loose with their head, so swiping headbutts or normal headbutts straight backwards could be available. Until you stop instinctually using your hands, try to get both your hands by their wrist to get more pulling power. Strangles from the back are very effective, so don't expect miracles if you don't practice this. We saw this choke in the judge and jury section, but this is not a choke that you can turn into a headlock. We could spin the direction they're twisting us, but their mount might be too stable and we could be stuck. They are, however, within striking distance when they grab at the shirt. If we miss that opportunity, we can get our fingers into our collars, and if they don't bunch up enough material, we could rip our shirt or get that trap and roll from when missions failed. A few follow-up elbows while still holding onto the shirt could get them to release. I keep mentioning turn chokes into headlocks because you can either breathe or keep the blood flowing. Headlocks, though, your head is stuck and there are some dangers like getting hit or picked up and slammed or dropped on. Instead of trying to free our head, we need to trap that striking arm and keep our legs out wide for good base. Hugging them tight also keeps their elbow from slipping under your chin, which will turn it into a choke. If we're in front of them, we need to keep this headlock from turning into a choke. We can become heavy by slinging an arm over their shoulder, pulling them down, getting to the side, and taking our cross-side pin position. The arm that we can't sling over the shoulder can either help keep their arm from digging into our throat, or even better, keep them away by pushing on their hip as we get to the side. There's been no attempt to pull my head free. Here, I can use that by digging my shoulder into the throat and putting all my weight onto it. We need to learn to have patience when we're in a headlock and not in a choke. Sometimes they squeeze themselves out and you'll be able to pop your head out. It's better to become a sticky octopus as soon as you can before things like cranks or what's known as a bulldog choke can happen. Here, you do not want their elbow under your chin. The guillotine choke becomes a headlock if you can get your body to the opposite side of where they're grabbing your head, but they'll probably get tired more than anything. Trying to dig your chin into their ribs will help with air and blood flow. It also kind of reminds you which way to sling your feet or which side of their body to bring your legs. From here, using the super sappers from that lesson will free your head. This common headlock is uncomfortable, but again, it's not a choke. Just like this one from the on your feet version, you want to keep from getting struck. So you want to bind up their arms and then turn into a sticky octopus. You can see that I'm on my side. I do not want to be stuck on my back. Again, you have patience, and eventually you can start putting weight on them, and then your head will finally pop free. The guillotine is such an awesomely designed choke, but we can turn it into a headlock, again by digging our chin into their ribs, but this time by getting up on our feet like a tripod and putting all of our weight onto our shoulder, which is digging into their neck. Using patience and balance, they'll probably let go before anything bad happens to you. The hand of your free arm can help relieve some pressure on your throat. All of your attention should be putting pressure onto their throat with all of your weight. If they let go, they're within headbutting distance. If they're keeping their head on the floor, you can use this movement to wrap your arm around their neck, and now you have extra squeeze power plus your weight, and you can put them to sleep. Balance could be lost during all that, and you could end up in this mounted guillotine, or just be put here. But hold them very, very tight. Don't let them do anything, but wait till their hands pop free, and then you'll be able to get a trap and roll.